Alright, so I think I'm recording. Let's move on to problem number 6. We have a binomial times a binomial. I suggest that you do this using a table. On the left side of my table, I write the first binomial. Across the top of my table, I write the second binomial. If you're writing it out with FOIL, it's the same idea, just a little more organized in this table. The first term times the first term, negative 5 times the negative 1 is positive 5. The outside terms, far away from the middle, the negative 5 times negative 5 radical 3. Well, negative times negative is positive. 5 times 5 is 25, but don't forget to multiply by the square root of 3. The inside terms are close to the middle. It's easy to multiply by 1 or negative 1. You get the same thing back. If it's 1, you change the sign if it's a negative 1. When we multiply these values together, let's multiply the numbers first. 4 times negative 5 and get negative 20. And the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9, which, hey, is 3. In other words, when you have radical 3 times the same radical, when a radical is squared, the radical goes away. All right. So now I'm ready to add these entries up for my final answer. I know along this diagonal, those are like terms. I have negative 60 plus 5. Isn't that a negative 55? And along the other diagonal, these are also like terms. I'm trying to change to a highlighter and it won't let me. I have 25 radical 3's, take away 4 radical 3's, and it leaves me with 21 radical 3's. I changed the... So I believe I have the right answer, but as I'm getting tired of doing these, my check is even more important because I don't want to make a silly mistake for you guys. If I have this binomials, I've got the negative 5 plus 4 radical 3 and a negative 1 minus 5 radical 3. Let's see what we get. Ta-da! Negative 18.6269. Let's see if we get the same thing. Now, in the last problem, I keyed in the original problem wrong. So let's double check. Negative 5, 4 radical 3, negative 1, minus 5. I think I've keyed it in correctly this time. Check and see if I keyed this in correctly. I keyed it in as negative 55 minus 21 times the square root of 3. I think that should... I can't believe that I have made another silly type of mistake. So let's see if we can't find my error. As I'm getting tired, I'm more prone to more errors. So let's see, did I copy the problem down right? Negative 5, 4 radical 3, yes. Negative 1, minus 5 radical 3. I did that. So let's check the entries in my table. Negative times negative is positive. Sign errors are something we really have to watch for. Negative times positive is negative. Negative times negative, positive. 5 times 5, 25 times radical 3. The 4 times the negative 5, negative 20. Radical 3 times radical 3, the radical goes away. This is negative 60 plus 5, which is negative 55. And I have 25 radical 3's. Take away 4 radical 3's, and that's 21. So I don't understand why. Maybe my check was wrong. I've got negative 5 plus 4 times the square root of 3. I have negative 1 minus 5 times the square root of 3. Getting negative 18. But over here, I see my mistake. You probably are yelling, 25 minus 4 is positive 21. Why did I write it as negative 21? 25 minus 4 is plus 21. That's why. So my check did help me. I did my check correctly. I did my work over here wrong that time. And see, it's happening more frequently as the evening goes on. So now I know that I caught my sign error by using my calculator to check my answer. So maybe, hopefully, maybe that can help you catch silly mistakes.